Oh, good morning. I heard the sound going off and I was like, ooh. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Mother, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. The recent news has toppled everything that we were trying to do for this morning, and so. Whew, okay. How I'd like to start the show this morning is going to be an interesting one because there is some discussions yesterday. There was a news break on the Philadelphia Inquirer that the city of Philadelphia, according to the mayor, has now shifted from DEI policies. No longer, are researching for minority businesses to give them hands out, quote unquote. But these businesses have deserved these things, and so I spent the entire day yesterday talking to people in city government, state government, and just local folks who have been paying attention to everything that's going on. And the some folks called and said, "Listen, the mayor did not have a choice because if she didn't do this, she would lose federal funding, and the city of Philadelphia cannot afford to." Lose that kind of money in the billions of dollars. There was one person who said to me, "But Andrea, the fact that we have to depend on so much federal funding is also an issue." Um, and then there were folks who just had different opinions about all of this. So I'm not sure if Councilmember Phillips will be on this morning. I've not heard from him yet, but we do. We have a full schedule, so much so that we're going to have an after party. So prepare to stay on with me until about 8:30 if you can, because there's so much to discuss. And one of the things I will not do is report without having authentic data to prove or disprove what is being said. Okay, so I want to do my morning motivation. I don't even know if I have one this morning for you, honestly, because there's so much going on out here. And I'm going to leave that alone for right now. Maybe I'll end the show with my morning motivation. Let me look to see what my producer put in here to see if it's here. Uh, City Council, 10 cents per bag. Nothing about hold on, wait a minute, because I'm just looking to see. Nothing about the thing around DEI. That's interesting. I'm surprised. Okay, so just hold on. Let me. I think this will debunk all of it for you. Just hold on 1 second. Let me lift this and give it to you, just so you know. And I'm going to tell you where it came from, so we can have the dialogue. All right. Leslie Morant, who is a lawyer, um, and has quietly stayed in the background in just city, local, anything, because she's been too busy doing her work, went into a deep dive yesterday and she wrote this. She wrote, "Them. The mayor's hands are tied. Me. Bullshit." This is her words. She said, "I gave a bomb presentation yesterday and could not focus on this, but I went digging, pulled the filings, read the rulings, and now I am furious. This lawsuit did not start with Mayor Sherelle Parker. It was filed in 2019 under Mayor Jim Kenney by RoadCon and other contractors who did not want to follow the city's project labor agreements or the diversity expectations inside them. They claimed the city's equity rules violated the Constitution, civil rights laws, and competitive bidding law. They wanted to wipe out the city's entire approach to equity in contracting. And here is what actually happened. Remember, I told you she's a lawyer. These are her words. I want you to hear them. Judge Juan Sanchez shut down almost all of it down in 2022. He dismissed the big constitutional attacks. He dismissed the equal protection claim. He dismissed the civil rights claim. He dismissed the First Amendment claim. He dismissed the idea that DEI itself was discrimination. The only thing the contractors won back then was a single state bidding issue. So, no, this case was not some unstoppable monster. The city was holding its ground. Then in 2024, the Third Circuit sent one issue back for more review. They did not say DEI was illegal. They did not say that goals were illegal. They did not order the city to dismantle anything. They simply said the district court needed to look at one part under strict scrutiny, a higher legal standard. Hard, yes. Impossible, no. And this is where leadership matters. Chicago is fighting. Baltimore is fighting. New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles are fighting. Cities are teaming up to defend equity programs, just not Philadelphia. Pause. Our mayor is a Black woman. Our solicitor is a Latina who took an extremely conservative interpretation of the law. Identity alone does not make you right. Identity alone does not make you courageous. Identity alone does not mean you support equity. Representation without courage is symbolism, she says. Read that twice. And symbolism does not protect anyone. Instead of revising the program, ordering a disparity study, designing a stronger legal model, joining other cities, or telling the public the truth, this administration settled the case quietly last month. No transparency, no explanation, no plan, no fight. And because of that silence, America First Legal, a far right group, got to put a giant victory banner on their website. They did not win this case in court. They did not defeat the city. They did not get a judge to outlaw DEI. We handed them that, a gift. And here's the part that hurts the most, she says. This is written by Leslie Morant. Mayor Parker ran on the slogan, economic opportunity for all. But this decision will reduce economic opportunity for the very minority businesses her office claimed to uplift. She weakened the tools that to keep the playing field level. She gave the advantage back to the same folks that have always had it 40 friggin' years. We deserved honesty. We deserved a plan. We deserved a mayor who would say, this is what they're trying to do. Here is how we will protect equity. Here is how we will fight for real economic opportunity for all. Instead, we got retreat, and they got to call it a victory. Telling the truth is not attacking a Black woman because she is Black. If Jim Kenney had done this in this way, we would have tarred and feathered his ass. Pictures for proof. And so she put up these pictures to show. One picture says, what's at stake? The city of Philadelphia compelled its contractors and subcontractors to sign protect labor agreements that forced employees of city contractors to join city-approved unions and imposed racial and gender quotas on public projects. These mandates penalized law-abiding contractors who refused to comply with the city's diversity, equity, and inclusion rules, as well as non-union contractors and contractors affiliated with unions such as the United Steelworkers, America First Legal. This is the group that filed the claim against the many cities across the country, not just Philadelphia, in partnership with Zimmerlong Law, LLC, and Mitchell Law, PLLC, on behalf of their clients, challenged these unconstitutional and discriminatory practices and secured a settlement ensuring that these practices will go away. And so Leslie Morant, when she wrote that, I woke up at 3:00 this morning, and then she put up a thing from the website of the folks who said that they gained victory. And then she wrote, beloved, I know we have been locked out, pushed out, kept out. And I know we are still living in a world where Black people are celebrating the first Black this or the first Black that in 2025. That alone tells you how far behind this country has kept us. And because of that long history, when a Black person shows up in power, when a Black woman runs for office, when a Black man leads an agency, when a Black family owns a business, we almost automatically give collective support. We cheer. We say, one of us made it. We treat their success like our own. We are not the only group that does this. Every marginalized community has done it. There are historic reasons for why we cheer for everybody Black. I get it deeply. But it is time to stop assuming that identity automatically equals solidarity. It is time to vet our representatives better, not just celebrate them, not just support them, vet them. This is not about tearing down the mayor, she says. This is bigger. We have to learn how to assess, question, challenge, critique, and yes, even reject our own when needed. We cannot keep lining up behind everything and everybody Black without proof of commitment. Bring receipts, because kindred identity is not the same as kindred spirit. Just because someone looks like us does not mean they are moving for us. So how do we vet our own fairly, she says? We look we vet them the same way we should vet anyone else. We look at their decisions, their courage or lack of it, their public transparency, their willingness to fight for people without power, their values when pressure shows up, their record, not their color, their consistency when things get hard. That is how you tell who is with you, not slogans, not symbolism, not shared skin tone, behavior. How do we call our own in with clarity and truth? We name the concern, we explain the harm, we give space for accountability and correction. We assume possibility, not perfection. How do we call them out? When the decision harms our community, when there's silence where courage should be, when there is retreat where leadership should stand. Call out the action, not the identity. Call out the impact, not the existence of a Black face in the seat. On what basis do we reject them? When the actions consistently contradict the community's needs, when trust is broken and never repaired, when they choose access over accountability, when they abandon the people who put them there, when power becomes more important than principle. When is grace due? Grace is due, she says, when there is honesty. Grace is due when there is transparency. Grace is due when people admit mistakes and take corrective action. Grace is due when someone is learning and trying to do right. Grace is not due when someone hides the truth, folds under pressure, and expects loyalty with no accountability. We can love our people and still demand more from our people. We can support representation and still refuse symbolism. We can honor identity and still insist on integrity. That is how communities grow. That is how we stop repeating the same cycles. That is how we protect ourselves. That was the most honest assessment that I have seen about Black leadership. Take the mayor of Philadelphia out of it. We as a people are believed to be a monolith, that we just go along with the flow and we ebb and tide. And I have to tell you that a lot of this is the messaging and the conditioning of the folks who would be the voters of this city. I remember moderating a mayoral debate and just literally, had to stop one of the candidates who was just talking all kinds of foolishness and wasting people's time. And one of the things I said in that moment was, no more can we just sit around and expect business as usual. The people of this city deserves better. I'm going to say this, that I have been watching for as long as I can. There has been a lot of conversation, pros and cons about, the leadership in this city, not just Mayor Parker. She has a hell of a hard job to do. It is not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. And as you have seen on this show, we have had folks who came on and talked about what was going on inside her administration, and that she was, folks were just being bullies, etc. And even in all of that, I continue to say to folks, listen, again, it's not easy. It's one Black woman with a team of folks around her trying to do what she has to do. The decision that was made yesterday, that was reported by the Philadelphia Inquirer, slapped a lot of people and slapped them hard. Slapped them hard. I had a whole lot of pros and cons. I did not get into the emotional fray. I just listened to what people had to say. I called some folks that I knew used to work in the government, used to work with Mayor Parker, folks who I know are now in the government, city government, and, they all said, well, not all of them. Some of them disagreed with what is going on with her government. To their point, they said she capitulated. Again, This is me reporting what was said to me. That she capitulated and that this could have been different. And then there were others who said that she could not have. She had no choice, that there was money, the monies, federal governments, the federal monies were going to be frozen, and that this is the issue. This is why she had to do what she had to do. And then I saw Leslie Moran's written post about this, and she went digging into the legal writings about it. She went and dug up all the things. And after I read what she wrote, I decided that this was the time to have a conversation, to share what she shared with me so that we could begin having honest dialogue. I have said to you all over and again that in leadership, none of us are perfect. There is no perfection. And we all, whether you're in leadership in a public way or leadership in a private way, we all make mistakes. But what I've always said to all of you is when the mistakes are made, as they invariably will be, that we do the mea culpa, that we apologize openly and say, this is where I was in the moment. This is the decision that I made. Could I have done something differently? Yes. You've seen me do this over and over and over again. From the mundane to the serious. The mundane would have been a gentleman who was a Republican called into the radio show when I was over at the other station and began saying that, such and such happened. And I was like, I cut him off. And I said, I'm getting ready to end the show and I don't believe you, blah, 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 blah. When I got off the show that day, I immediately began Googling what he claimed, and what he had said was true. I then got back on the air, and I'm just sharing this with you in a transparent way so that we can understand. Now, that was a simple thing. We got back on the air. I got back on the air that Monday or the next day, and I said, listen, I owe this gentleman an apology. I did not know he was listening. I said I owed him an apology because I went digging after I got off the air, and this is why I owe him the apology. Unbeknownst to me, he called the station manager and said, I had never seen anything like this. I'd never seen anyone who she could have just moved on and said, I said what I said. But it's incumbent upon me, because I'm in a public space feeding you public things every day, that when I am wrong, I say I am wrong, right? I was the first one to report that some couple years ago that I'm looking at his face, Congressman Dwight Evans, people are getting ready to run for his office, and everybody that I named that back then on the show who was going to run for office 2 years ago are now the people running for office. And because it happened at one of those events in New York City, and I came on the air and reported it, and folks called the station owner, and she called me. She said, Andrea, can you just at least? So I went on. I said I would interview him, and I got him on the air, and I interviewed him, and he said he was not stepping down. Blah 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 blah. I knew then what came out now, but I said, okay, sir, you are not stepping down now. I apologize. That was not my intention to harm or do anything to you. I said, but can you tell me, who are you planning? Are you planning to have a successor? I'm asking the hard questions while apologizing in the moment for something he may not have been ready to have a discussion about. All right. Now, let me juxtapose this to when that whole fracas happened with Joe Biden, the President Joe Biden last year, and I did the interview with him. I sat down and it became a huge thing, right? I sat down and wrote a piece around why things happened the way they did. And in that piece, I said, could I have done some things differently? Yes. Like I admitted where I could have done a couple of things differently as it related to the station, not to the interview. Right. And so it is important. It is important. The way people trust us is in the way we respond when things happen. Right. Is it an easy thing to do? No, but it gives a sense of relief and release when we transparently have a posture of I'm so sorry. I did not mean to XYZ. I apologize because this is why I made the decision that I made, versus a posture of defensiveness. And I said what I said, right? There's so much going on that we really need to navigate and to speak through. So at 7 o'clock this morning, Joanne Bell, who is the leader of the Black Leadership Women's Council, is going to come on and have a conversation with me about Black-owned businesses, what the numbers look like. Why are the numbers the way they have been? What has she and the Black Women Leadership Council been working on to figure out how to, from the state level all the way down, because she's been having this conversation now for several years, and why this new thing matters. That is what we're getting ready to talk about. I want us It is important that we support our leadership. It always is, right? We never want to, and as when I say support leadership, it is never about just the slightest thing. Oh my God, she showed up and she had on red lipstick and she didn't, or oh my God, his pants wasn't pulled up, or oh my God, the thing was in the back of it. That's not what we're getting on the air to talk about, but we're talking about what matters. The other thing that I listened to was an interview that was done by Solomon Jones with the mayor the day before all of this came out. And I walked away a little flummoxed. He asked the hard questions around immigration. He asked the hard questions around, what's happening with Project Home, about people saying that this would just go to a certain group of people and that the people who really need it. He asked the hard questions. He did. He talked about, Black businesses. He did. I don't even think he knew this was going to come out because he did the interview before this thing came out yesterday about Black-owned businesses and their percentages, their percentiles, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not sure if the questions were answered in the way that many expected them to be. And so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And as I'm covering this story, and as I am reporting what is being said, and as I'm reporting what is the written pieces around it, I worry. I worry. I worry. Many of us don't know the inner workings of what's going on inside our city government, as we shouldn't, right? There's just some things we should not be aware of, right? So that people can stay safe and be okay. But there's a troubling picture emerging, and I don't want people to lose faith in our processes. I don't want people to say it's more of the same. I believe the mayor of this city has done some excellent work. I've been watching quietly. I have deliberately not requested an interview with her since the day she became mayor of the city. I just left it alone. I wanted to see what was going on. I believe she's under immense pressure. I do. And I am going to believe that she will look around her and the people that are in her midst around and circulating her, not just as people who will say yes to everything that she wants, but people who will push and challenge and say, I looked this up, Madam Mayor, and this is what I found. And this is the work that I did to give you so you can have exactly what you need to present to the people. Because at the end of the day, while she may have all these people working around her, she is the voice of this city. And I'm not sure that she fully has the support inside her own government at this point. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, we will, oh, wait a minute. Okay. All right. Somebody's going to, okay. All right. Okay. So there is no, I'm going to read some of the comments here. Oh my God, my head hurts. Do you know how difficult it was for me to come on here this morning and have this conversation with all of you? It was not easy. You see, because we've been told forever and a day that, and it's true, Black women particularly get a lot of flack just for being who we are, just for the brilliance that we bring to the table, just for the things that we carry, right? So I'm going to read some of these comments to all of you. Good morning. I see you all there. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Let me read some of this stuff. Morning, Marguerite. I see all of you. Good morning, everyone. Let me see. Welcome to Mornings with Morva. How may I help you?
Hey, it's Joanne Bell.
Ooh, Joanne, I'm not sure they're ready. I'm not.
No, I'm just going to wait.
Okay, you're going to wait? All right, just hold on. Just give me a second. Give me a second. All right. So Joanne Bell is on the line with me. And we're going. Joanne, turn that thing. Joanne, turn that thing for me, please. Turn on your thing because I can hear it while I'm talking. Thank you. Turn it down for me. Thank you. So I have her on the air on the line. Wait, I'm going to read some of these comments, and then I'm going to take her in. I am going to assume that she listened to what I talked about earlier this morning. So let me read some of these comments. Oof. Andrea says, "Child, good morning, mother. Hey, friends." I see a lot of good morning. That part. Okay, come on, y'all. Hold on. Let me read some of these comments. And by the way, please like and subscribe to this platform. Let me just, okay. Joyful, oops. Laverne says, transparency comes before empathy. She wants empathy without transparency. I guess she's talking about the mayor. Andrea says her job is not easy, and she has been the face of terrible decisions and some of the best. Hold on. Y'all keep talking, just hold on. And some of the best people no longer work for her. This place is in more trouble than we know. There's no grace left to give. That was from Andrea. Laverne says, yes, Andrea. Jesus, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Because they're talking real fast and furious, and I can't. Marguerite says, you have a challenging role, Andrea, making sure that all the dots connect and are truthful. Thank you for taking the hits for us. Yes, Andrea, people around her shake their head and move over a little bit. Nobody is there to really be her right hand. Cheryl Brown, Joyful says he didn't know. She says Solomon didn't know the story was coming out, but she did. He asked and she didn't answer more than she wanted, I'm sure, if he didn't challenge her. He didn't. He asked the question. She answered the way she did, and that was good. We have to stop believing what people feed us and do our own research, she says. Read, watch, and listen. Laverne says Mayor feels she needs to display strength, but she's giving that fight to the wrong people and not where it matters the most. Tracy says, of course, the mayor knew. She was in city council at the time that this was going on in 2018, 2019. Marguerite says, while Madame Mayor is the mouthpiece for the city and is a very smart young lady, I believe that her team doesn't always have her covered and sells her out for chump change. Whew. Joanne, I am now going to pull you into this conversation, Joanne.
Right.
Let me be very transparent in saying that you are one of the people that the trusted voices that I have about this city, because I don't know everything, and I am very mindful not to try and destroy people without knowing the facts. And oftentimes when I've called you, you've said, let me go back in history and tell you this, and this. So I appreciate you for this. We met when you were revamping the Black Women's Leadership Council, and I have been on your hems ever since. literally, because I never want to get on the air and say anything that is wrong. And so for that alone, I thank you. Now, can you tell people what concerns you in this moment about Black businesses and why this article that came out yesterday set something off for you?
So I want to go back first, but before I do that, this is my first time coming on Mornings with Mo, and I love it. I love you, and you are the most well-researched individual who has taken a mic in a very long time in this city locally, and I respect you for that. And you are one of the more fair journalists, because you look at all sides and you try to bring information that people can use. Now, I don't call myself a journalist. I'm a woman who just speaks her mind based on the things that I've experienced in the city. So I take all editorial type licenses that maybe is not owed to me, but I do it anyway. And then I back it up by saying my age allows me to do this. Mm-hmm. And so I've been around the city for a very long time and have watched at least a couple of generations go through in leadership in Philadelphia and the greater community. For most people who listen to me on Black Women's Leadership Council, they know that I was born and raised in New York City. So I have a different point of view about this city, although I have been here longer than many people have been alive. Mm-hmm. The thing that has always troubled me about Philadelphia is complacency, and that it doesn't feel like it can be an independent Black community, that they have always relied on having white support in order to get some of the most mundane things done. So what am I saying? I have said at many tables when we were attempting to do something that was different, whether it was going after a gaming license in order to try to build wealth in Philadelphia, whether it was about sitting at the table when they brought cable TV to Philadelphia, and it was 5 different areas and districts, and one of the things that they wanted was just one section. Throughout all of this, it was very difficult for anyone in the Black community to sit and get any wealth building businesses going. Now, why do we need that? We need it because no community survives without having wealth in the community. And what do I mean by wealth? I don't mean 1 or 2 wealthy individuals. I mean wealth that you can reinvest in your neighborhoods, that build better housing, that builds local businesses, that as a result brings better schools, that it gives people the opportunity to live in strong, healthy, safe communities. Philadelphia has been a city that has had as the highest level of poverty as compared to other similar situated cities. And you ask yourself why. Why is because the big thing is a policy issue. It is not happenstance. It is poverty. It is a policy issue that is directly derives from who's in City Hall, how they view who gets what resources. The thing that troubled me most about Philadelphia is that we are a city of neighborhoods. And in politics, we become a city of sections of the city that compete against one another, not in a good way. And so I used to look at it no different than the young people who kind of came up in the schools, districts, and said, the gangs, I'm from 24th and so, and don't you cross over this street. Well, for many years, our politicians practiced politics in a certain way, that we're from the mighty Northwest, or we're from West Philly, never seeing themselves as a whole and together. So we didn't build community in solidarity to lift up everybody's boat. Instead, the competing interests wanted to be able to be the ones that white people saw that would be acceptable. And that's a hard thing to say. It is a painful thing to say, but it's what I've seen. So let me bring you up to date about what my interest has to be. I sit at the table with a Black business group, and it's people who have invested in these businesses and are hiring. They're the first to hire other Black people and to give them opportunities. I sit on the board of West Health Systems, and I work with a gentleman. And now, let me just say that's volunteer work. That is not what I do for a living. But we have been together now going on since maybe 1999. As a result of that, and the collaboration we've had, we have moved people from a desk doing clerical work right on up to a master's degree, African Americans. In this city, as a result of the work that we collectively did with each other, we've provided more opportunities for Black businesses. We have a Black accountant, Black lawyers, Black consultants. We've moved people, sent them back to school, and we have a whole class of people who are all around the city running different other agencies, and including high-level positions within the city of Philadelphia. They got it because we gave them the opportunity, because we invested in them. And when you invest in Black businesses, they in turn can turn around and invest in the community. We know that model works. We know that. When we raise children and we say, listen, we want you to not get in trouble. We want to foster your dreams. We want you to go to school, and then we want you to be able to get good jobs. What that means in Philadelphia is that that track ends when they go. If they get into school, that track ends because they have to leave the city in order to get a good job. That shouldn't happen in a city like Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Even in the businesses that remain here and that are thriving, better than 50% of the work that they get does not come from Philadelphia. It comes from cities outside
Yep.
of Philadelphia. And sadly enough, some have come from southern cities.
Yep. And Joanne, I
it
am
doesn't happen here. And the question is why?
right. And Joanne, I'm a testament to that. Quite a bit of my business comes way outside of Philadelphia. Why is that? Why is that? And when you seek to find business in Philadelphia, they want to give you pennies on the dollar when they're paying somebody else for a 2-hour job of $100,000. I'm not making this stuff up. They find businesses for their own people and they give them this money, and then everybody else has to kind of struggle and find their way. Why is that? Why is that, Joanne? Can you answer that?
It's our own belief in ourselves. I tell this story often on my show, and I speak very highly of my late friend, Bill Miller, who is Representative Derecha Parker's father,
Mm-hmm.
and Billy Miller's father. And he was a great friend of mine. And if he were here today, he would be livid as what happened with Mayor Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he said, he tried to run a business, and he saw himself as a businessman. He was a fairly good businessman, and he was having a conversation with a well-known politician that he was asking to endorse something that he was attempting to do. And then he mused out loud. He said, "Why is it so difficult to get the support to support my business as I have supported all of you all?" And the person said, because then he went on to say, he said, "If I were David Cohen, you would have no problem in doing it." And the person, well, David Cohen is a businessman. And he sat there for a minute and he said, "Well, what do you think I am?" The point is that we don't respect and view each other in those ways. I came along in a day when my parents used to say that some people say that white people's ice is colder. Philadelphia is a town that believes that. And because they don't believe in themselves. So let's talk about what just happened at City Hall. It is difficult. One of the ways that businesses are able to compete, keep their doors open, hire people, is because you have to know what it's going to look like, not just for the moment, but how do you build out your growth over years. And that means you have to have a steady income coming in and contracts coming in. We do not, the general business community, the Chamber of Commerce, and this is I've said this for years, has a view that, Black Philadelphians, we're a 10% town. So if it's a 90% deal, you factor in 10%, make it 10%, and that's it. You can never plan, grow, your business in ways that allows it to be around generationally, because you don't get enough business in order to get that done. So one of the ways of leveling the field and being able to do that is that if you are in the city and you bid a city contract and you bid one that is over multiple years, you can plan out what you're doing, you can hire, you can staff up, and you have growth. The other thing, as you grow, you bring along smaller businesses and you give them the opportunities and they begin to plan out and grow. That is what these goals and timetables were in city government. Now, set-asides were challenged in the Supreme Court years ago, and that is not the measure that is being used. That is not what was before the courts before the courts. Now, we believe, as this Supreme Court is moving, that there are cases in the pipeline that you will be able to see that they will attack the goals and timetables. But both Governor Shapiro capitulated last year, and our mayor has capitulated this year without the Supreme Court having ruled on this yet. So what was the case that allowed them to do it this time? I love the fact that you pulled up Leslie Morant's her take on it.
Yes.
And I'm going to use that for my show because it was brilliantly written, and she could say it better than anybody else.
That's what I said. Yep.
They capitulated. They did not have to give in. There are many cases in the pipeline of these right-wing organizations suing cities all around the U.S., following the dictates of trying to dismantle everything that the African American community built up over the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
They are dismantling it, and this is just one piece in that cog that they are doing. But other cities decided to band together and say, no, we're not doing this. They didn't relent. Why did this city relent? Baltimore was presented with the same facts. Chicago was presented with the same facts. They did not fold. Why did our mayor fold? I believe that what was said is that in fear of losing the federal dollars that would come to the city. So, okay, so let's dig down a little bit into that. Anything that the Trump administration would attempt to do would be a legal reaction to that. And I think I had a conversation, maybe with you or someone else, but I don't know if you recall that soon after Trump had come into office, he was having an event where he had governors from all over the country, including Democratic governors.
Yes.
And in this room, Shapiro was in the room, but forgive me because I don't remember her name, but the governor of Maine was in the room. And she was sitting at the table. He called her out very specifically and said to her that he wanted her to comply with the fact that he did not want the competition from people who was a transsexual to be able to compete. And he asked her what she was going to do about it, and she said she was
I'll
going
see
to
you in
follow
court.
the law of her state.
Yes.
She answered, I'm going to follow the law of my state. He said, well, I'm telling you that I'm paraphrasing. I'm telling you that that's not what I want you to do. I want you to follow what we've asked you to do. And so he said something about it. If you don't, and he did all those nasty little things that he did. And so she said to him, she stood up and said, well, then I'll see you in court. And so she did it. So he attacked her. They went to court and she won.
Absolutely. So what is the fear here in our state?
Stand up.
Joanne, what is the fear here in our city and state? What is it?
If you ask people, they will say, well, she didn't want to put at risk, the
federal dollars
billion that they were getting. He would have to attack programs in a way that other cities have said, listen, the governor of New York is suing. People, they're pushing back. You say that you're going to take something because we didn't do something that you asked us to do, we will sue you. Now, pain is involved in that. Pain is always involved in that. But you know what? From early this morning when you sent me that, and you knew when you said that I could not go back to sleep, that what happens is that I thought about Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
I thought about Fannie Lou Hamer. And I thought about our ancestors who had to take beatings and still get up and say, no, I'm not giving in. If they gave in, we wouldn't be where we are today if they gave in. And sometimes we as a community have to understand we're going to have to take a little pain in order to have a little gain, because what was at stake is what is building a city and building a community for ourselves and our children and our grandchildren going forward, and we're robbing them of that.
Joanne,
we have robbed them of that.
So what?
Because we capitulated.
Yeah, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. Heard and appreciated. What can we do, if anything, at this point?
Well, one of the sayings that I've been saying, and I borrowed it from somewhere, we are the ones we've been looking for, okay? We, when all else fails, we have each other. We've always had each other. And right now, what I'm doing is a couple of things. As you know, I've gathered the Black women so that we can sit down and have a planning session as to what we're going to do going forward. I'm meeting with the Black business group which includes the Black Chamber of Commerce, in order to figure out how we're going to come together. We're, business to business, all of the things that we're going to have to do to protect ourselves. We're going to have these discussions. It's time that we're going to have to say that we have to stand up for ourselves. When I first read it, I was so angry. I said something around that says, that we got kicked off the bus. And run over. And it is. If the load is too heavy, this is what the analogy I will give. It's like riding along on a bus, and the load becomes too heavy. You have to figure out, throw a mama from the bus. And it was like, okay, so in order not to risk this, and this, we're going to throw this overboard. And so, and the people who always get thrown overboard are Black people, but we don't expect that our own people will throw us overboard.
What do you say to people who said that she did not have a choice, that the mayor did not have a choice, and that she was just protecting federal dollars? Is there a different way that this could have been done, like the Chicago and all the other states? Baltimore is in the fight, like they're all standing up and saying.
Baltimore is Black, and he has a city that has similar situated problems as Philadelphia. The mayor of Chicago is Black. He has a similar situation. They got troops on that street and they're still fighting. If you fall for everything, you won't. You got to stand for something. You'll be pushed over. If you think that this challenge, that there won't be other challenges to the city, that the MAGA type people will not come back and do this. No, what you've done is that you fed a hungry dog, and he'll be back.
You fed a hungry dog, and it will be back.
That's right.
And that's the chill that went down my spine yesterday as I was having these conversations. What do you say to people who say, Mayor Park is the first Black woman of the city of Philadelphia, and that we have to stand by her come what may, and I know, listen, you stood in her corner in ways folks couldn't even begin to imagine as she was running for office. What do you say to people who would say to you now, you got to still support, and I don't think you've taken your support away from her. I believe you have just decided that this is something you need to stand up for, because Black businesses are literally on life support in this city. Have you been having discussions with her or the governor around what's happening with Black businesses?
No, because what happens is that we were planning something and it stopped dead in the middle, and I did not really know why it did. Now I know. Because what happened was she put a pin in it because she did not want to face. She knew what she was negotiating, and she did not share what she was negotiating. Okay. So there cannot be. She cannot have an expectation of support from Black businesses if she doesn't support Black business. And at some given point, she's going to have to face the realities of this, and that it is not going away, and that it cannot just be said that I did this to save that. When you believe that you are in it with everyone else, then there's an obligation to sit down with the Black business community and discuss how you go forward, and that hasn't happened. And again, sometimes you have to discuss family business with family, and that hasn't happened. And the city has never been a very welcoming place in support of Black businesses.
Yeah. So we're going to have to go ahead.
That is why. And I don't have the figures in front of me, but I'm going to paraphrase this, that the average wealth of a Black family is it's in the negative, okay?
Yeah.
and white families have 20 times the wealth of black families on an average. And that is not by happenstance. Mm-hmm. That's policy, Andrea.
Yes.
That's decisions like this that get made. So if people look over those decisions, if people look at this decision and say, that's black businesses, I work, so that doesn't affect me. Oh, yes, it does affect you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, Joanne. First, let me just say thank you for having such an open and transparent conversation on the air with me about all of this. I recognize, because I know you well enough now, that this has not been an easy thing for you, that you have been quietly having the discussion. Can we talk a little bit about why politicians cater to white folks and white businesses versus working with their own people? Is it money? What is it?
It's money, it's money, but we provide the votes, and the white businesses and white elite provide the dollars, mm-hmm. so that the message can get out. Mm-hmm. And that has been this way in the city for a very, very, mm-hmm. very long time, because poor people can't write checks to politicians, and black people in general do not have the money. Mm-hmm. There are some that do, but not enough, mm-hmm. in order to carry people through. So if you want to get to where you want to get, then it's a myth to say that white folks are going to write these checks to black politicians, and they have nothing
expectation,
that they want in exchange. Right. And mm-hmm. so if you believe that, let's end this conversation, because that just don't happen. All right. Mm-hmm. And so it is understood. It's understood when our mayor goes before the white Chamber of Commerce and talks to white business people that they have things that they want. Now, they've been around institutionally forever in Philadelphia, so it's going to be on the one-on-one transactional thing. Mm-hmm. they will dictate policy, what they want to see, the policy that supports big business here. Mm-hmm. So you come to the chamber will have all of these lists of things that they want to see happen. Our chamber functionality is to try to make sure that not just that it's a good business climate for mm-hmm. African Americans, and that the rules that are being set are favorable be able to do mm-hmm. business. They flat out need rules that allow them to have business to business relationships to other businesses in mm-hmm. the city, that allows them to be able to compete for contracts in the city. And let me just deal with another myth. Government exists. If wealth wasn't derived from government, then we wouldn't have the Elon Musks of the world. Mm-hmm. We would, and let's go down the Bloombergs to what I can name all of the billionaires. Their wealth was derived from their relationships and the contracts that they got from mm-hmm. government.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So why was it acceptable to throw black businesses off the ramp instead of saying we'll figure out a way to work together in all of this? Why was that acceptable for us?
Because it's the choices. It's like the immediate choices. I believe that she probably felt, in this case, that she didn't want to fight, because if she fought it, then I think that she believes, and I don't know because I haven't talked to her, but this is observation, that thus far Philadelphia has not gotten the kind of attention from Trump and his people that other cities have. So they didn't put the National Guard in here. They didn't do all of these things because they viewed the mayor more favorable to what they wanted to do. And that she was not making big pronounced statements. If you look through all of the feed or read or anything like mm-hmm. that, you'll not find her saying anything negative mm-hmm. about the Trump administration or the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. You just won't. Mm-hmm. And that's a deliberate tactic on her part in order to keep them off the city. And to an extent, it works for her. And so, and to be able to run some of the programs that she sees that is important because, she was a city council person and she views the city in terms of the neighborhood enhancements that needs to have, better neighborhoods. And, the thing that her signature program, which I agree with, 800 million for housing, that she wants to do. I believe that is an important thing to build this city. So I agree with her on that. So she has some initiatives because she's looking ahead, and she thinks that this is going to help her, build, turn Philadelphia around. But sometimes when we're marching along the road, there are roadblocks that get thrown, and we have decisions that we have to make. And to make the decision that it would be, and I think that she might view it's in the greater good of the city for me to take this stance for all of the things that I want to do, then to have that fight. But sometimes it's who you are fighting for. Because because here's the choice, and I don't, and I know which choice I would make. I think I know, but that we never know until we're in that seat.
Right.
The choice that I would make is I go back to what the short-term gain is as opposed to the long-term gain. You have a community that has been decimated by way of a lack of wealth, and that the struggles and poverty and things are cyclical, and that it's policy driven. And if you understand that academically and intellectually, which she does, then you don't take away and dismantle the tools that has gotten the community where it is, and built a middle class going forward. If you take away and be a part of that destruction of those tools, then as we move forward, it doesn't matter how much housing that you build if people don't have jobs to live in them. It doesn't matter how much, because then what you've done is you've rendered your community to be recipients of welfare, to be recipients of handouts. So you build all of those programs, and you'll need more social programs. 300,000 plus more Black women have been put out of work deliberately. What are we doing about that in this city? Why aren't we having roundtables with the mayor to sit down and discuss how we build communities and how we help? Instead of not just the handouts, how do we structurally build in our community? How do we foster ownership in addition to home ownership? How do we build businesses?
Right, because how are you creating home ownership for people who will not have the jobs to stay in those homes, right? And when you have dialogue around how do we, continue to have Black businesses grow, when you only talk about food trucks, that people will have food trucks, or will invite certain media people to show up and have the conversation, just go on the website and fill out the form. What about the larger business opportunities that we're not being offered? What does that say to us?
That goes to something, this is flippant thing that I say. We are now at the stage and the age in our maturation in terms of electing Black people that we're going to have to move to elect people who are more business savvy, who at some point has had to meet a payroll to understand the economics. Because right now, and theoretically, we have elected people who are community activists and I like to say snarkily, graduates of Bell School of government. And sometimes you can go through those programs, but you have no practical application of what it means from having the feet on the ground and being able to build something, from the ground up. We do not have investments in building stability and economics. Now, the late mayor of Atlanta, he was terrific in turning Atlanta around. Maynard Jackson, lawyers, smart, refused to allow that the white business community, to dictate to him the building of the Atlanta airport, and that was and because he took that stand, He even went on the road to find businesses to move to Atlanta in order to do that. And one of the largest construction companies in the world was built out of that, from out of Atlanta. And more businesses did that. He turned it around to make it the mecca of Black business. It took a mayor who had heart, and then a succession of mayors who came after that in order to build that.
So the idea that our votes are expected, but that the businesses who are and the lobbyists who are giving the monies to make them win the election, that we give the opportunities to the people who give the money, and the people who don't have the money but are trying to figure out their business life and gain the acumen to do what needs to be done so that they can grow in wealth, their votes are expected with nothing in return. Did I read that correctly?
Yes. One of the things, people will say, because, I have my supporters, I have my detractors. And frankly, as I said, I'm at the stage and age that it doesn't bother me either way. One of the things that I say to clients come to me when they're coming into Philadelphia and they want to do business, I remind them, and the firm that I work for often represents Fortune 500 companies or companies who want to get into major cities, but most of our work is done out of Harrisburg. But in any event, when they do, I say to them, before bringing them into Philadelphia, I say Philadelphia is a majority minority town. And whatever it is that you're trying to do, build or see, or whatever you're trying to get done, you need to understand that you need to partner with Black businesses when you get here. And before you walk in the door to meet with Councilman X or Mayor X, then you need to understand that that is their expectation. Now, my expectation is when I bring them in, that's what they're going to say. That, I want to see what your plan is. How is it enhancing the community? What businesses, not, you don't have to choose the business that they have to partner with, but they have to have some sense that you're just not going to walk in Philadelphia, take all of the resources and go out and build your community while our community suffers. That's what we're saying. We don't want you to go, if there is a $20 million contract, and you come in from out of state or wherever, and you get that contract, and then you take the work and move it to another city and get it done and send the product back here, or hire a couple of people, and you're making all of the money, and then all the money goes back, build your very nice schools, your very nice neighborhoods, and take very nice vacations and have very nice vacation homes, while our kids are on the street shooting and killing each other because they have no opportunity.
Right. None whatsoever. And then we still make money off it because we're getting federal dollars to then work on the children killing and shooting each other. Federal dollars to try to fix and put a Band-Aid on things when we could have really done it from the groundswell to make sure that these businesses and these families thrive. Now, here's something I'd like to address. Joanne Kemp says, individual small business ventures are great, but we have to catch up and get a more expansive, collaborative business mindset for much larger venues. Joanne, that takes time and money. People are actually doing that, but if they're not able to get the capital to continue to build and to grow. Do you see how cyclical this is? So we keep saying Black businesses aren't ready. What are the chambers?
Here's the thing. They're not ready because they can't get the access to capital. When my late, great, good friend who I miss, and I talk to her all the time and I miss her, I get up in the morning and say, if you were here, Emma Chappelle, why do you think she started United Bank? She understood that access to capital was important for our community, and that we needed to own something to make investments in our community. And she did everything that she could to see to build a dream so that we can invest in our community. The other person who's doing that right now is Della Clark. Della Clark is trying to build a not revenue generator, but a capital program that she raises capital so that she can fund these businesses so they can have access to capital.
Yeah. And so we have to stop downplaying ourselves and behave as if we don't care, and we don't want to learn, and we don't want to know, and we don't want to have access. The stories we could tell about how we're shut out of things, sometimes by our own people, right? Because I don't say this. You can't go into public and say certain things, or you can't challenge me about my work ethic. Like if you give me a contract and your work ethic sucks and I can't get the contract done properly because you're holding it up, and you get mad because I challenge you to your work ethic so that I can give you what you ask for. I mean, these kinds of insidious things continue to happen over and again.
It's happening right now at the school district. Yeah. I've seen it. It is these major contracts with rehabbing and doing these energy programs at these different schools. A lot of it is these big Fortune 500 kind of type engineering firms come into the city, and what they don't want any competition from local contractors who are in the business, local engineering firms. And so what they do is that they slow up the work. They're critical of them, and then they make complaints about them, and they try to trip them up so they can say, oh look, they can't do the job.
And oftentimes we are in the positions of power to do this and don't speak up about it. And anyone who speaks up about it, and then how do we change this morass that continues to envelop us?
Well, we've got to see each other as allies and rather than frenemies. Okay, that one of the things that I've been a part of is putting 2 or 3 engineering firms at the table together to build them so that they can build capacity so that they can compete with the larger firms together. That's just one aspect in engineering. Everywhere we are, because there are things that we can do. And I always say that if person X who's in this business can't handle contract B over here, then you collaborate with people. You work together. You don't have to. You can do joint ventures and to strengthen yourself with it. But you gotta trust each other. You got because there's a slave mentality that we have. As long as I got mine, I don't care if so and so didn't get theirs, or the first negative thing that gets said, we're like, oh, I don't want to do business with them anymore. We are sometimes our own worst enemy. Amen. In terms of doing that, because we don't build the capacity. I remember, again, I'll go back to my late good friend Bill Miller. He would tell us, he would say that that when in the Jewish community, they may not like each other, but they will tell you in a minute to do business with another Jewish person. My cousin so and so, he's a schmuck, but I still want you to do business with him.
Absolutely.
They understand, and in the end, that they need to be collective in what they do. We don't. We'll be the first ones to tear each other down. It will be, I don't like Andrea because the way she wore her hair. I don't like when she said something. The thing is, we personalize things beyond the point that we need to personalize it. One of the things that you do is that if you feel it necessary that you feel offended, you just say that and then move on.
Right. And continue to do business as usual. Yep.
Being able to get things done.
Come on, Joanne. Tell the truth. Jesus.
It should never be a roadblock.
Yeah.
Because we can't see that we have to also own some of our own behaviors that keep us from being collective enough to move forward. We went through this period when the Koreans came to town. And when I say came to town, they came to town all over the U.S. And because they wanted better opportunities. And in growing up from New York City to Philadelphia, one of the things that we will remember, most Black people can remember, is that when I grew up, the merchants in our neighborhood were Jewish. And they ran mom and pop stores and everything, and they were able to make enough money to put their kids through good schools and everything, and then they moved on and they moved in other industries and they got bigger and all of the other stuff. And then another group that came, and we can see it was in the movies in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where the Koreans came in. And what they did, they were willing to live in a house all together and bring the next one over and start the business and have all of these businesses. And then they moved on because they built bigger and better businesses and spread out to the suburbs or wherever they wanted to go, and institutionalized themselves and had wealth and all of the other things. And then and each set of immigrants came, and you know what they did? They made their bones on the back of the Black community. And who was sitting there to receive them that had nothing, that took their little money and went to their stores?
Yep.
Black community. I often ride in town, you know, when I ride in town, and I look around, you see all of these wonderful edifices to success, these wonderful big buildings, new apartment buildings coming in with $1 million rentals. And you ask yourself, where are the Black people? What do you own down there? Drive downtown to point out to me. Go 20 block radius and show me a building in the city of Philadelphia that is owned by somebody Black.
Come on, Joanne. Come on. Arisha Parker is saying, I have a Black attorney, accountant, dentist, eye doctor, and primary doctor. My dollars are going to Black-owned businesses. My exterminator is Black-owned. My hairstyle. I'm right there with you. I have that too, but it's not enough when we are not giving the kinds of support and monies to the contractors, to the people who are actually doing the work that could build the $1 million apartment buildings. That's what we're talking about, right?
You can't even, there's only probably one major Black law firm in the city.
Come on.
With all of the work that is here, this capital.
Right.
Because there's only one. What you will find is great lawyers, Black lawyers, and
who work within these
law firms bringing the business, but you will not find a strong Black law firm.
And they have to do that. The great Black lawyers have to diversify and go into these different firms, because how are they able to pull together? They realize that if they're all a Black firm and doing what they're supposed to, they may not get the business. It's because people are going to say that. It's insane.
They don't get the business. We're not of the mind frame to build it. This is a city that was known over the years, the Philadelphia lawyer. Okay, great, and we have great Black minds. We do. You and I both, and others, even Zarisha, we all know great Black lawyers.
Yep.
I do. I know plenty of them. Okay, and we, you know, at times we struggle they struggle to get the business. So you know, Dennis Cook and I at West, we made it a thing to send West's business to Black lawyers, so that they had something that they could have in these firms that would allow them to have partnerships. You got to think that way. You got to think in ways and able to build them, to send consultancies where we can. When we have a right to choose, that we choose the right these consultants and give opportunity. We're working on an opportunity now for a handful of people, but we think that way.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks that way.
No, and not only that, Joanne, in the recent weeks, I've had calls from about 4 or 5 of my lawyer friends who are partners in their law firm who was booted out. They got a call in and said, everybody else agreed that you didn't bring in enough money this year, and so we want to thank you for your journey with us, blah, 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 blah. One friend was bringing in $2.9 million every year for decades, and they just got rid of her. So I need us to stop believing that because they have the spaces and they're in the places, if they don't own the business, they can be pushed out like everybody else. And we're seeing that more and more. And in fact, I'm going to go a little further and say, all those 300,000 women, that number has grown exponentially, but that data will not come out. They will not push out that data because they don't want us to know. But we're hearing it every single day. And so how do we now, you know, you have largely stayed behind the scenes, except for once a week when you're doing your show, you know, you've largely stayed behind the scenes, and you've told us, you've tempered us, you've asked us to do our research, to ask the questions. The fact that you are here this morning having this open conversation with me speaks volumes. absolutely speak volumes. I can't thank you enough for it. I know you're going to go on your show later on this morning and have another conversation. I know Leslie Moran. I just said her name. Leslie says there are great Black attorneys, but dispersed across the city. This is a structural problem. She says, I'm a proud descendant of this law firm, and I worked for Judge Green for years. And she put the link there. But it's a lot, right? How do we now structure it? I know you didn't just come out this morning and decided that you want to talk about this issue that's happening with Black business, with Mayor Parker in the middle of it. I know how much you care about what happens with Black people and particularly Black women. I know you did not do this lightly. So where do we go from here? And someone says, how did the Black Chamber of Commerce figure in this decision? Does it still exist? Do they have any power?
Here's the thing, they do exist, and I'm going to be having a meeting with them later on, late this afternoon. They do exist. We have to have this power in numbers, and so I'm not sure that anyone, including the chamber, knew that the mayor settled this case, and that I don't believe that they knew it.
Yeah, that was the question I asked. Yeah, that was the question I asked yesterday too.
Go ahead, I can hear you.
I said that was a question I asked yesterday too. Did anyone know that the mayor had settled the case? Because according to reports, the case was settled last month. We heard nothing about it, and now the people who have been challenging all around the country, is now using Philadelphia as the place where, see, we won over here. We won this case. Never went into court, but they won the case and they splash it up on their website. What does that say? How do we navigate through this? And how can we have the hard conversations without making it about attacking a Black woman? How do we do that?
I'm not really, the thing is that everybody wants to go to we're attacking a Black woman. I sort of like what you sent me that Leslie wrote. It is not about Sherelle Parker. I would like Sherelle Parker and who she is as a person, whether she's the mayor of the city of Philadelphia or whether she's some titan in the industry. That's not my issue. My issue will be, for me, is Mayor Parker, does she continue to be the right person to be in that office? That's the question that I will have for myself. Because I want people who are willing to stand up and to fight for our community. I worked for Wilson Good, the first Black mayor. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that used to aggravate me most is that Wilson Good was always forced to say that I'm the mayor of all of the people. Mm-hmm. But none of the white mayors before them had to ever stand up and say, in a city with a large Black population, that I'm the mayor for all of the city. White mayors don't have to say that. Mm-hmm. Black mayors not only have to say it, but they have to demonstrate it. Because there's a belief that if they get the power, that they will use it to help Black people. And not to the benefit of white people. And somehow, and this is what we're doing in this whole country, is that you would think, and sometimes I laugh and joke with my sister, that we're more than the 15-16% of right. the total population of the U.S. for all of the things that they accuse us of across these 50 states. We have to be some superhuman people to be at everywhere, taking everybody's job. And we're taking everybody's job through affirmative action. But then we're the highest poverty rate. And it's incongruent, some of these right. arguments that they make. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is that we have to start, calling these things out as we see it. Mm-hmm. We have to start calling it out. Mm-hmm. So in this population that we have, and we're big in certain cities. We're big in the city of Philadelphia, with a 40% population. We should be doing so much better. So we need leaders that understand that they can't throw us off the bus.
Yes, we need Black leaders
are important. That they can't throw us off the bus. And that when the going gets tough and the load gets heavy, the first package that gets thrown off the bus are Black people.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. I have taken so much of your time. People are texting me going, oh my God, somebody's actually saying it. Somebody is actually having the conversation out loud about what we have been saying quietly for as long as we can remember.
I am never quiet about it, okay? So one thing you will know, I tell people I'm at the end of my career. I should be home all the time, okay? I don't go out that much because I'm tired. But I'm going to say what I got to say. And I don't care who likes it or who does not like it. I'm going to keep speaking my truth. I'm going to keep sharing what I see. And here's the thing, folks. You hear me, I'm not a punk. I'll tell the person that to their faces.
Yeah. I've seen you do it. Yep. Yeah.
So, because we have to do that. And I want you to keep on keeping on.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've told you that you've got talent in many, many different ways. And you know, you're the right person at the right time in this town.
Yes, ma'am.
The right person at the right time.
It is, you know, I've had this conversation with you that if this was a popularity contest, I would have lost a long time ago. But it is important to be fair, to do the research, to ask the questions, even when they may feel uncomfortable. Someone said to me when I covered a story some months ago that I would never be able to get the mayor on my show. And I smiled and I said, and my response was, but I haven't invited the mayor or anybody else on the show. It's not about, this is not a popularity contest. This is about covering the news fairly. If she decides that this is not the platform she wants to be on, I'm cool, but I've never invited her. I've never invited her here. Because I just want to continue to be fair. I am fair with her. I've had conversations with her. I have encouraged her. But I also have to cover the news. I have to cover what's going on. And if I have to conscript myself to say, well, you know what, I got to be really careful, blah, 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 because this may cause me not to have an interview or not to be invited into certain spaces, then what the hell am I doing this for? Right? So it doesn't work.
Andre, don't care for a moment. Listen. You can like people and you can break bread and have tea, but that doesn't take away your ability to make the assessments that needs to be assessed. Let me just say, no one told the mayor to go run. You have to have a certain ego to want to think that you can be mayor of the city of Philadelphia. You have to have a certain ego to think that you can be governor of Pennsylvania. You governor, you put yourself in that position, and you mayor, you put yourself in that position. Now, it's not up to me when I see that I'm with you for the things that you do that I think that are good for our community. Whether you Governor Shapiro, the things that you do, I applaud you for that are good for the community.
Right.
But when you don't, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
And Mayor Parker, I applaud you for the good things you do for the community. But when you don't, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
All right. We don't owe loyalty to any individual that takes away from our general community. We owe no one that loyalty.
There's a certain fealty, this loyal, you got to be careful what you say. You got to be careful how you move. You will not be invited to do this. And I'm saying to myself, for as long as they have known and followed me in any platform, I call them the muckety mucks. I have been saying this for almost a decade. I'm not going to be seen where the muckety mucks are. Just not doing it, right? Not because I don't want anybody to feel like there has to be a certain amount of loyalty, because I care about who you are and that I like you. That is disingenuous to me.
Andrea, listen, there's a saying that you can walk with kings as well as you can walk with paupers. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You can be seen with the muckety mucks. That doesn't make you a muckety muck.
I had Pastor Waller dying.
I told people throughout my whole career, the best information I ever got, the best information of the people who helped me most are the people who were, when I first came to City Hall, this is how long ago that was, we used to have elevator operators in the annex, okay? The elevator operators, the people who used to clean the offices at night, the people who was to park the car, I would tell you, they would take me aside. Let me tell you what I heard the other night. I've gotten my best information.
Yes.
Best information.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll leave with this one thing. I was coming out of the University of Penn. I had taken my sister to see her doctor out there, and when we were waiting for the valet to pull up, the guy gets out the car and he comes running, and he grabs me and hugs me. He was a valet that had worked someplace years ago and knew me, and we had the best relationship. And he was telling me he remembered me after all of these years, and because those are the people who make this city run. Those are the people who get things done. And so I am as appreciative of people who serve me, because I'm known to be a big tipper, because that's hard work to do, whether it's parking cars or people who are hustling in the restaurants and all of the other things that they do. They're the ones that make this city work. They make it work, and we owe them something to have opportunities, because they're working hard. Why? They're trying to feed their families. Absolutely. They're trying to educate their kids. They're trying to get to the next step, and we should be able to create an environment that they can do that in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joanne Bell, thank you so much. I have taken up an hour of your time.
I love you, sweetie.
And I love you too.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There's so much to pull from this conversation. I was mildly shocked when she decided that she was going to speak with me this morning, but she spoke nothing but truth. Nothing but absolute truth. There is a cost to really trying to be fair to everybody around you, and she's absolutely correct. You know how I gained my listenership in Philadelphia on the radio station? You know how I gained it? By doing just what she did. I went in, the folks that would call me and say, Andrea, can you come into my community and see X, Y, and Z? And I'd go in and then I'd come back and I would talk about it. I would try to find the solutions for them. This wasn't about just interviewing big name folks. That's nice, right? And I give respect to the people who are doing the work. Someone said to me in government, in the state government, it was Billy Miller, actually, who said to me some years ago, he said, they don't want to come on your show because they know while you are fair, you're going to ask the hard questions in a gentle way that they're not ready for or willing to, because they don't know the answer. They're not willing to do the research to do the answer. And that was years ago. He said that to me. And so the goal is to continue to create a space where we can talk to each other, that it's not just about blind loyalty, that it's about holding yourselves responsible for the things that we say and do. I swear to you, and I have said it over and again, if your core values are shitty, you're going to show up as shitty, right? You can be as bright as you want to be, but if your core values are just horrible, just absolutely horrible in the way you treat people and what you expect out of people, if you don't do your inner work and you're walking around with a whole bunch of, oh my God, triggers, and is someone saying this about me? What is that one saying about me? If you're going to lead. It is difficult. It is incredibly difficult. Trust me when I tell you. There are days when I don't want to get on this air, right? There are days when I'm just like, maybe I should. Nah. I have fought people in some of the highest places because I said, this is not right. When I was told not to interview Republicans and independents because all we're going to talk to is Democrats, my gut said, bump me. We're going to talk to everybody. We cannot assume that the people of this city and beyond don't have enough common sense to hear the whole story, right? And then decide what they want to do. And so it's a space, and I'm watching this ebb and flow. Asking the questions, right? Looking at people, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. Folks saying one thing out of this side of their mouth, and then the next time you hear them talking about something out of that side of their mouth, and I don't say anything. I just sit back and watch. And when I get off this air, what do? I go and I hang out with the people. Taking the pictures are nice. Being in these spaces, shaking hands and taking selfies, nice. But when we're not getting anything from the very people that you put into office or the very people who are in your leadership, And they get mad at you when you say to them, you know what, this isn't, now you're subjugated and told to be quiet, and then you get quiet. And then you get quiet. And then what happens? The same thing keeps happening over and over again. And then you're whispering, you can't say that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Right? And so we must hold each other quietly, and sometimes not so quietly. Right? And please remember that our leaders don't always get it right. What makes them different is when they don't get it right, they come out and say, you know what, I understand I didn't get it. Silence is not the answer. Silence is never the answer. And so what I struggle with is staying immersed in a system of folks who just continue to do whatever they want to do. You know, you can't question me. Folks who don't want to do certain things, but they're made to do certain things because they're in a leadership position, and they're told, well, if you don't do it, then we're going to make sure you lose your leadership position. All those kinds of things happening. And I wrestle with God every damn day. Do I want to do this, Jesus? I don't really want to. But I can't, I talk to folks who are so afraid. I can't rustle this boat. I can't say this. I will lose my job in media. Our hands are tied. We don't have that kind of open space. It was Sherry Williams. I had lunch with her maybe about a year ago, and she said, what I love about what you do is that you have a space where you can actually have opinion and to really show and to bring people on. We have to read what they tell us to read and cover what they tell us to cover. But if we're going to do that, we have to do that responsibly. I appreciate you all every single day that you take the time to come on and have the conversation with me. I'm under no illusion that this job is an easy thing to do. But I want you all to stop calling me and telling me such and such will not invite me to such and such. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't. Such and such may not invite you, and you may not be able to. So if I was someone who was seeking to be seen and to be in these rooms and to shake hands, do I want to collaborate and create meaningful relationships? Yes. If those spaces that you think I should be afraid of because it's the no, because that tells me those relationships are not going to be meaningful. That tells me that I have to fall in line to a certain concept, that I can't say certain things and I can't do certain things because so-and-so will be mad at me. That's not leadership. It has never been leadership. Leadership is when they can come to you and say, okay, I don't like what you did over here, and this is why. And you take it in. You know how many times? That's why I don't have a whole lot of friends. You know how many times I've gone to people and said, blip, 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 or they've come to me and said, Andrea, I don't appreciate that you did this, and this is why. And I appreciate them. And sometimes I cry because I say to them, I didn't even realize I was doing this. I didn't realize that was how it was making you feel. I apologize. And then I go further to make the shit right. That's leadership. And that's something we learn from birth to 5 years old. Don't do that. That will cause that issue for you, or that will cause that issue for you as we're raising our children. So take all of this. I appreciate Joanne Bell more than you could ever imagine. The amount of time she has stopped me from stepping in horseshit. Just from, this is what somebody said, and da-da-da-da. And she says, come on, Andrea, and let me take you back so you can do the history. This is why this is this, and this is why that is that. Every government, every leadership in their government should have someone who understands the history, someone who knows what worked and what didn't work. And so when I say pray for me, when I get on the air and I say, I'm not feeling this today, y'all go ahead. I'll be off today. So I can go do what I have to do. I mean that. I absolutely mean that. And when I say I don't always get it right, I mean that shit too. I do. Forgive the cussing. I don't always get it right. But when I tell you my heart is in the right place, When I tell you that this is about doing what works for people, I remember one client says, you know what, the mayor's coming and da. And I said, I don't mean any harm. I remember this white man looked at me. I was sitting at this table with all these leaders. I said, I don't mean any harm. I love the mayor, but my role is to make sure that the people of this city get what they need. So while I will cover the mayor and I will cover all that she's doing, I also want to cover more than anything else what's going on with the people in this city. It's important. Who the hell tells their stories that we're not just coming in, grabbing the stories, and then they never hear from us again? Who's doing that? Who is sitting immersed with the people to tell their damn stories so that their voices can be heard? And this is what we have to consistently have the dialogue around. And if we have to hide and pretend like all is well because we want to please this one and that one, we cannot serve two masters, much less 50. We cannot. So it is important to stay in your authentic spaces every single time. And when you don't get it right, say, I didn't get it right. We didn't get it right. It's okay. It's okay to say we didn't get it right. And it is also okay to surround ourselves with people who will challenge us every single time. That's why I don't have a whole lot of friends, because not everybody will challenge me. It's hard to challenge me. I get it. Right? I come with a fierce energy, but the people that sticks closer to me than anybody else will challenge my behind. And that is what I need. Those are the people that I keep beside me. Challenge me. Andrea, when you said da, yesterday I spent the whole day. What do you think? And I went across age groups, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and on up. I was asking the questions. What are your thoughts? And then when I saw Leslie Moran's post, I said, oh, this is it. And as she was posting, I went and did my research and began digging. Because you see, I always, even though things may sound good, I could, and everything she said. Do you think that sister's life is easy because she's out here saying all the things that nobody wants to hear? No. But because of her brilliant mind as a lawyer, it makes it very difficult to challenge her in a way, but they will come for her, and they have. So it doesn't come without repercussions. But when you stay in your authentic place, as you lose, you win more. As you lose, you win 3 more. You lose 1, you win 4 more. Right? Now I just gotta go sit down somewhere and and debrief. And my father's still coming. My father will be here in a couple of days, so I gotta prepare for that too, right? And deal with my husband and deal with all the other things that are going on. But when you see me, be kind. When you see me, say thank you for standing in the gap, because it ain't easy. It never is easy. Someone says, Jesus, Lord have mercy. I can't. Yeah, Tunde says, and oh, Lord have mercy. Hold on. Darisha Parker says, state rep says, it's why folks are suffering with anxiety and mental health. We keep and suppress our feelings. I can't do it. My husband get a whole earful around here. I know the mayor's intentions are good, this person says, regarding the home program. But what I think she just did with the diversity with these city contracts is going to tone. I don't understand what that means. Watch. Darisha says Leslie is a lawyer and was the first Black woman chief diversity officer at the Philip Police. Winetta says, and that's why you are loved so much. You do the work and tell the truth about what matters to the people. Thank you. So when I say I need a glass of water or a cup of soup, or I just need to go lay down somewhere, thank you to everybody that has shown up. Thank you to everybody that continues to consistently be there, right? And if I am wrong about something, one of the things I love about Andrea Robin Manley, I'm talking, she goes and does the research and clicks it in, because she knows I can't manage everything at one time, and I don't have a live producer sitting right beside me to do the work. So I'm doing all of it right here in real time. So and I mentioned Andrea, but there's so many of you that will pick up the phone and say, let's go have lunch. We don't talk about business. We don't talk about anything, just for me to take a deep breath. I love you all. I don't know how long my voice will be on here. I don't. And I don't know when God will have me pivot to do something else. But I know my existence here is for people. From the time I have known myself, I used to get in trouble. I used to get in so much trouble with my mother. I'd take her flour, her sugar, and just give it to the neighbors. Go climb the coconut tree when they told me not to climb the coconut tree because somebody needed it. It's in my heart. This is who I was born to be. And I cannot be anybody else or anything else other than what I was born to be. And so when the opportunities come, I take them. When the slaps come, okay, God, what are the lessons I'm supposed to learn from this? Right? But we move on. But we can no longer sit in these spaces and people are sending text messages and you think the text messages are safe, but you are here sharing them with Lottie Dottie and everybody. This is what they're saying about you. No, learn how to be friggin' trustworthy. There are people who have shared things with me and I am no longer friends with them and I refuse to share their stuff because it's the right damn thing to do. Right damn thing to do. I'm not going to go, oh, we're not friends anymore, so I'm just going to tell you, blah, 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 blah. We have to grow the hell up. We have to. And we've got to stand for something. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. Derisha says we have to have an IT fundraiser for Black women. I am Mother. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.